The movie is about a masked hero fighting a cruel government.
The truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this. Do you know why you're here?
I want everyone to remember why they need us.
I wish I wasn't afraid.
Wrong with this country.
Whoa! Excuse me, miss.
I'm sorry.
The film begins with the Guy Fawkes masked gang demonstrating gunpowder on November 5th, 16th century. This was done in an attempt to blow up the British Parliament and everyone within. However, Parliament caught Fawkes in the act, leading to his detention and execution sentence. A few hundred years later, in England, someone was spotted donning the fabled Guy Fawkes mask. She is the film's protagonist, Evey Hammond. She went out of the house even though the curfew had been imposed, considering the situation that was prevailing at that time in England. 3 special police officers who were on patrol that evening apprehended Evey. She was taken into custody right away without saying anything. They were teasing Evey instead of defending the citizens who were captured during curfew. V, a guy wearing a mask, suddenly assaulted them with ease. Subsequently, he extended an invitation to Evey to stroll to the summit of the structure and enjoy the orchestrated panorama of the city. It seems that the Old Bailey building explosion was the act he was referring to. Knowing this, Councillor Adam Suler was very angry. He then ordered Inspector Eric Finch to arrest the perpetrators of the explosion. The TV news the next day carried stories regarding yesterday night's explosion. Since Evey was believed to have been with V at the time of the explosion, Finch went to the TV station and arrested her. Evey was an employee there. However, V also equips himself with a bomb that is attached to his body. His plan is to take over the TV station and perform a live broadcast while donning a V mask. He claimed to be the one behind the bombing at the Old Bailey. Additionally, he asked everyone to keep in mind that today, November 5th, is National Revolutionary Hero Day, marking the day when a hero gave his life to resist injustice. He requested of them that on November 5th, everyone must be present behind him to see the destruction of the Parliament building. A few moments later, people in full uniform came to arrest Evey. V, who felt cornered, finally helped Evey escape. The media then widely claimed that V had incited panic and that the cops had slain him. This started to resemble propaganda. That is to say, when she recognized Evey was already somewhere she didn't know. It turns out that V lived there since he carried her home after she passed out after yesterday's police pounding. Then, since that is the only location that is now secure for her and she is now a fugitive, V urged her to stay there for a year. Detective Finch is continuing looking into Evey's history in the meanwhile. All they get is bad news from her family. In the evening, V killed Louis Prothero, who was the head of the North Fire propaganda organization. After V informed him about the outfit he had been wearing previously, it came out that they had already been acquainted. What is the true V's skull and who is he? Louis's death was announced in the press. Because he had taken use of Evey's identification without her knowledge, V had easy access to the station building. However, the authorities had started to look into the background of the person V killed. Louis Prothero is the richest guy in England, as is well known. Additionally, he completed his sentence at the Larkhill concentration camp. However, when Finch inquired of one of his co-workers about the camp, apparently he did not know anything about the camp. Every record about the place seemed to just disappear so that no one could find any information about that place. Gradually, Evey began to open up to V, where she began to tell him about her family. Her parents were political painters who frequently staged street protests. Since Adam Suler was elected as England's Chancellor, they have protested against the war. As a result of their opposition to Suler's totalitarian rule, Evey's parents were ultimately forced to perish at the hands of the state. Finch heads to the tax office in the interim to pick up Larkhill's papers, which will provide them with a lead later on. Subsequently, V sets out to murder Bishop Anthony Lil Lyman. To assist him in his objective, Evey offers her services. A pedophile named Lil Lyman used Evey's disguise to make her an easy prey. Apparently, Evey had a hidden intention behind this action. When V was off guard, she immediately took advantage of the situation to escape from his clutches. V carried out the plan and killed Bishop Lil Lyman even though he had lost her. After that, Evey remained at the home of her boss, Gordon, a TV program presenter. He assured her that he would protect her from the police's pursuit. Gordon led her into a room where his paintings were displayed. Finch is on his way to the hospital in the interim to learn the outcome of Bishop Lil Lyman's autopsy. According to the doctor, Louis Prothero's body had the same toxin that Lil Lyman had been exposed to. One of his guys provides Finch with important information on the Larkhill Detention Center. It seems that the individuals V murdered had previously served at the camp. However, from all of these lists, there is a profile of someone who does not have a photo named Dr. Diana Stanton, making it difficult for the police to track her down. The doctor was a post-mortem surgeon that Finch had recently met, it turned out after an investigation. His true name is Delia Surridge, and he hurried to her residence right away. Delia knew that V was going to kill her while she was at her house. She apologized to V for what she had done previously, for the first and final time. After hearing Delia's sincere apologies, V killed her without causing any pain. Inspector Finch, who is looking into V, is instead receiving a number of dubious leads pertaining to the earlier event, particularly concerning the St. Mary virus outbreak. It was discovered that this virus was a biological weapon used by the ruling government to wipe off its political rivals. They are brought directly to the Larkhill Detention Center. From there, Finch also learns that V is one of the survivors of the trial. This makes Finch sway and drift in his own thoughts about the truth. Is the government treating its people this badly? Like it or not, he must fulfill his goal to expose the person hiding behind Guy Fawkes, nicknamed V, because of the nature of nationalism and the heavy burden he bears. In the meanwhile, a comedy program featuring biting satire of the administration is airing on television. Gordon's core idea is this software. He serves as the show's host as well. Naturally, this infuriated the Chancellor, and soon after, Gordon was apprehended by government investigators at his home. Gordon was also being mistreated, so it was fortunate that Evey was hurrying to hide under the bed. After feeling safe, Evey finally ran away from Gordon's residence. Unfortunately, she was also caught. Evey was compelled to reveal every strategy that V had formed while she was being kept in the dark, but she resisted. She turned into a convenient target for abuse. She was tormented every day and shaved. Not to stop there, she came into a message that belonged to someone on the sidelines of that tragic day. It appears that Valerie, the owner of the note, passed away following an experiment there. She is a lesbian. It appears that LGBT individuals, Muslims, and Jews are political rivals that need to be eradicated. Even when Evey arrived on the final day to share her knowledge about V, she remained mute and stated that she would sooner die than reveal anything. After seeing that Evey was firm in her stance, instead of torturing the guards even more, they released her. This made her surprised at the decision the guard gave her. It turned out that V was the one who had been torturing her and locking her up all along. All he did was set Evey free from the terror that held her captive. Valerie's tiny letter, which she had taken from her cell, was the one she had brought with her. Evey seemed to be feeling braver and better than ever. When Evey did eventually leave the premises, V requested her to see him on November 5th. She nodded and departed, leaving Finch to go to St. Mary's, which is now a recognized historic site. His objective is to get a meeting with a former security force investigator turned intelligence operative. Next, he discussed Adam Suler. He was an ambitious young politician who at that time used his power to find supporters before he became a counselor. Then he proposed a project at the Larkhill Detention Center on the grounds that it was in the interests of the state. It turned out that they were actually making a virus called St. Mary. Next, the head of the Norsefire Party suggested bringing the virus to 3 distinct areas in England. It will be tested at 3 locations: St. Mary's School, a tube terminal, and a water treatment facility. The pandemic claimed the lives of at least 100,000 individuals. At that point, the incident was attributed to radicals with the assistance of the media. The dignitaries from Norsefire created a flurry of panic. They also succeeded in elevating Adam Suler to the position of chancellor. With 87% of the vote, they were able to secure a majority in parliament as well. They finally took control of the country and sold the St. Mary virus antidote to the people. V then requested that he arrest Suler, and he would turn himself in on the evening of November 5th. It's been a year since the declaration V made on TV. While the chancellor chastised the individuals who had been told to place V under custody but hadn't managed to do so, V went throughout the city handing out Guy Fawkes masks to celebrate November 5th. As a result of the actions of a security force member who killed a kid while donning a Guy Fawkes mask, the British public gradually started to have doubts about the government. The cop was instantly assassinated by the enraged crowd. Evey fulfilled her pledge to meet V on November 5th, right up until that evening. He then led her to a deserted subterranean corridor. The Parliament building is directly accessible via an explosives-laden train. V says that the decision is hers if she blows it up or not. Meanwhile, on TV, Suler continued to echo his statement to convince the public to remain obedient to the government. Unfortunately, no one saw the broadcast. To seal the deal, they also paid a visit to Norsefire commander Peter Creedy. Then he took Suler in front of V and immediately killed him. V denied it just as he was ready to give up, killing Creedy and his men right away.
Kill him.
He lost a lot of blood from being shot hundreds of times, even though he was wearing a bulletproof armor. Before he passes away, he then visits Evey. He unexpectedly dies after confessing his love to Evey. Next, Evey places V's body on a train that is intended to detonate the Parliament structure. This was also done out of respect for V and to fulfill his final desire. Before the lever is pulled, Inspector Finch arrives to stop the action, but because he also feels disappointed with the government regime, he also agrees to Evey's action. Thousands of people planned to witness the destruction of the Parliament building that evening while donning Guy Fawkes masks. They were met with armed forces, but they did not back down and continued to advance. However, the armed troops remained still as a result of not receiving any instructions from their superiors, Creedy and Suler. The reality was that they had both passed away. A few seconds later, the structure exploded. When the movie concludes, Evey only responds, "He is all of us." Subscribe and hit the bell for more awesome videos. Thanks for watching.